Salam bacha, khosh omadid, and welcome to this Wednesday stream of Let's Blue Wild. Oh gosh, how I missed you, how I missed this tune, how I missed dancing behind the scenes to Coronial Thesis as the stream starts. Bacha, I'm so happy I can be finally here. Salam Nazairas! 34 months in a row being subscribed to the channel. The pillar, the founding stone of this Plumas empire is indeed No Soy Ros. Salam Nana, hi, how are you? And yeah, I was saying that I missed you. I missed doing this live stream, this like my regular content, because life has been a little bit hectic, not only with cause of the Achaemenids, but I'm not going to talk about the Achaemenids today. But with the cause and everything, going on in my life, because believe it or not, behind this green screen, there is actually a person and alive, and it's been a little bit chaotic, but I finally made it. I made it here, and this thing is super overdue. Apologies to my patrons, because I know I'm a little bit late to the party of everything, and that I owe you so many streams, and that we are not having them on this month of June. No worries, I know you guys are the most understanding and loving and caring people, so we will have them over July. And Salam, Slothinator is in the house. Oh my god, the pressure just raised to the ceiling. I'm excited to finally be here and be rid of all the horse content. I love horses. Like, here, let me introduce it to you. All right, because this is a particular thing about my Spanish speaking audience, but I'm going to share it with you because you ought to know. This one over here, his name is Temujin, yeah, because his name is Temujin, and this was a gift by my loving and super kind vizier. He not just got me Temujin, he got me the cow, because we belong to the team cow forever. This is not Bormoyer, but could be. I mean, if I ever do her a makeover, like I paint the colours of the rainbow over her, she could be a perfect Bormoyer. But he didn't just get me that. There we go. So Temujin actually had a rider, has a rider, but oh my god, he's lost his head. Oh, there you go. And is this one? This is Hootlegu Khan, and his companion is, of course, Temujin, and I have them here sitting on my desk. But today we're not going to focus on these, nor on these, although cows are always beautiful, but we are going to be focusing on them, on the horses. Why? Because let me share something with you, Bacha. I am a little bit done, tired, fatigued by all the human-centered history, archaeology, and art history. Humans have been the center of this universe for too long, and they don't inhabit the planet by themselves. There's multiple creatures living and contributing to that we name history, and not only horses, but animals in general. I think they do extreme credit, and normally we just overlook them. Just go past them. We take them for granted. And I said, no more. And this is not the first stream I do about animals, and definitely won't be the last I do about horses, because this is not something we have in Spanish, but I am a horse girl. Meaning I know it's a stereotype. I don't care, I embrace it. I've loved horses from my very early ages. I love horses. I had the opportunity to learn how to ride, and I've even done some arrow shooting from horses when I was in Iran. I was terrible. I was so bad. This is not me playing humble. I was terrible. But I love spending time with them. These are great creatures and loyal companions and super fun friends. So I just thought I need to speak about them on this live stream, and because I know that some people really enjoy the Mesopotamian / Fertile Crescent content, I wanted to focus on them, and not only on them, but in a particular breed of horses that changed the course of the third millennium. But I am getting ahead of myself, and I just want to warn you that, as per usual, I have images, not as many as I would like. That I confess, because it's difficult to find, it's difficult to find images of these, and let me tell you why. Because artistic representations are human-centered normally, and we do not preserve much regarding art, little, but not only from the third millennium, because that is what we are going to focus on. We're focusing on the motorbike. Did you hear it? Because it just passed my window. There's someone that rides such a loud bike that I don't know, I am just very willing to take my head out the window and say, hello, can I help you? Do you need to calm down a little bit? Oh, by the way, cheers. Very Spaniard today with my Alhambra mug. Do you know, Bacha, what the Alhambra is? Have you been? I've been... I don't know if I can count the times, because for a time I lived in Granada, which is the city where the Alhambra is located in. And I used to go... I'm not going to say every day. Every 2 days. All right, so as I was saying, I have images, but not as many as I would want from the period. I mean, I don't have representations of the horses, but what I do have is pictures of horses, and these are the first ones we're going to be looking at. These are actually not horses, they are onagas, and I love them. Look at them. I'm so in love with them, they're so cute. Look at the muscle, look at the coat, that caramel collar on the top, the back, on the neck, on the head. Fascinating. So, we're going to start, as always, by giving a little bit of a context. Where are we going to focus is the Fertile Crescent, that is Mesopotamia. That is the land between the two rivers, Tigris and Euphrates. And when, as the title says, we will be limiting ourselves to the third millennium before Common Era. And limiting to a millennium is a bold statement, because it's not limiting whatsoever. But as always, when we deal with Mesopotamian content, I feel the need to explain and to remind you that to say in Mesopotamian is like saying nothing, absolutely nothing, or it's like saying Iranian and not really selecting a time, selecting a period, or being a little bit more precise, because Mesopotamian culture tends to be, in the common thought, a mixture of all the cultures that actually made Mesopotamia, or lived, or occurred, or happened in Mesopotamia, and we put on the same bag, on the same basket, we put all the eggs. I know that's not how you use that in English, I'm aware, but it's just one space we place different cultures that never touched, that never communicated, because they existed in different periods, and that should not be it. That's why from this moment onwards and until forever, I think, I'm going to start actually signaling which time we are talking about when we deal with Mesopo stuff. Why the third millennium? Why is this a specific time the chosen for this? So I don't know exactly when I came across this source, because I don't remember. I was looking for something else. And I found that horses and horse domestication was very early, something I kind of knew in the Fertile Crescent, but I, like a woman of my time, I tend to think that we are the most advanced and modern and smart of the whole history, when actually we're not that smart, and we have not invented absolutely everything, because horse breeding was super extended in the Fertile Crescent, and I discovered that the breeders at the time created a race, like an entire new race of horses, and I wanted to share this with you. So let's talk about first like sources, okay? Because I am aware that this might be a little confusing, given that we don't have the actual horse in art to look at. We don't have pictures, and we don't have, as much as I'm aware, we don't have a time machine to travel back in the day and take a picture of the lovely horses. So how is it that we make it to study this? Well, first of all, we start with cuneiform tablets, and we start with terminology and linguistics. That is normally the first step in a lot of topics Mesopotamian related. Let's see another onaga, shall we? Oh, look at them on the line. Oh, I love this picture. I love this picture so much. So the thing is, that there is not just one term for horse or for equid. There's multiple, and in the earliest, we have different species here in Mesopotamia, and some of them occur very, very often. That is the case of the word anshe, or that that is not pronounced Anshe, that is how we read it. It's not written like that. But that is the equid sign, the basic equid sign. And Anshe is not actually a horse. Anshe is a donkey. Anshe is a donkey, and it appears that that was the basic term to refer to, to an equid in the very early third millennium before Common Era to very, very late in the history of the Fertile Crescent. We're talking about maybe the 8th century before Common Era. That is a lot. So that meant that there was already a name, a term that was Anshe to coin these creatures. However, super interesting, there are 2 variants of that word. The plain one without muscle or necklines, it looks like, I wish I could show them to you. Can I show them to you? Do I have the word? I don't think I could. Oh no, because I tried to download it, but I couldn't because the format was not supported by Striplabs. Doesn't matter. Oh, look at these ones. So, as you know, the signs in cuneiform, the very early ones, used to represent concepts or base sort of like pictograms, to represent what they really meant. So there is the early sign for Anshe is just some lines, and they do not look much like a horse. But then later, there's some bars across the muzzle, and these were introduced for the very first time in the early dynastic period. That is around the 3rd millennium before Common Era. But apparently there was no rule for people to designate horses. So sometimes, you see, following the text could be a little bit tricky because we don't know exactly what they were referring to. There's another word that is shakan. We have Anshe, and then we have shakan, and that is not a horse either. That is a wild ass, and I am very much aware of the proper, jokes aside. Yeah, you can do that. I think it's very funny. But yeah, we have these terms sakan that didn't refer to domesticated animals. So you see, they had words to designate a wild creature and a domesticated creature. Domesticated, Anshe. Not domesticated, shakan. And of course, this is a little bit, overcomplicated, but normally Anshe is translated as domestic donkey. And this is widely used. What does this tell us? That these animals coexisted naturally and very often with the Sumerian and Akkadian people. They were just there, they were part of the daily life, and normally these were used for for agricultural purposes, for transportation, just forced task, because donkeys are the stamina is just all over the clouds. They're very strong also, and they endure very well the inclemencies of time, for example, and they are capable of working for hours without stopping. I don't know if you ever have been around donkeys, but they are wonderful creatures. They are just magnificent. It's incredible. I had the pleasure to spend part of my time with donkeys, and they are just lovely. And there's a lot of controversy, actually, for the donkeys. Oh, it's for the donkeys. Cheers. The forgotten ones, because, yeah, we pay some sort of attention to the horses, but we tend to forget the donkeys, so. This is Erika's mule. Oh my god, Erika's mule. I don't remember her name, sorry. So Erika is a character from an RPG game that I am supposed to be directing soon. We haven't started yet. But Erika is a half-elf, or Marna, that's her name. And Marna, he's her mule, and she is the most intelligent of the gang, let me tell you that, in advance. She's even more intelligent than me. Happens. So there is a lot of controversy regarding the word that would designate, quote-unquote, the true horse, what we know as equus cavallos. And I don't want to extend massively on this, because always a very interesting topic. I'm not a linguist, and I feel that I might need more study to be able to properly understand everything and transmit it to you. But let us just say that around the Ur-3 period, and that is around third millennium before Common Era, 2000 before Common Era, there is a word that quickly replaced the word of Anshe that was used for the Onager. And this one was Anshe Kurra. And Anshe Kurra is widely used in post-Ur-3 Mesopotamian literature, and there is an absence before that. And from that point on, the texts stop using Anshe that much as its own. This might be an indicator that horses were more extensively domesticated and introduced in daily lives, and they didn't put the donkeys, aside, because I'm really sure donkeys are cheaper, they're stronger, and they better suited for work. But this might be an indication that horses started to be more and more popular and more used for other things. Because, for example, we have so many modifications of the word Anshe, and that signals an abundance of horses and different kinds of horses, because they need to just now more than one word to refer to them. And that is, for example, what linguistics tell us, and how we can learn about the history through text, philology, language in general. And I think it's super, super interesting. Of course, we also have archaeology and archaeological finds. And we have, among my favorite, we have art. We have art. This is the Ur standard. Maybe this is the first time you see it, although I doubt it, because this piece is possibly one of the most famous pieces of art from the whole Fertile Crescent period. So I think you would be sort of familiar with it. And with this, we learn a lot about horses as well, and the roles they performed. But now, what I wanted to talk about is not just any kind of horse, but a very particular one that the Fertile Crescent breeders managed to create artificially by breeding and crossbreeding different animals. And this is mind-blowing for me, because I didn't know such a thing. Me, in my presentism, I didn't know this thing was possible in such an early state. We're talking about the year 2000 something before Common Era, and that for me is impressive. And these animals are called the Kunga, spelled Kunj, not J, G-I. And this is possibly the first hybrid animal in the history of the world. And what's a hybrid is when they appear when two different species from the same family reproduce, but they don't need to be of the very same one. This is interesting indeed, how we learn from the sources from all of them. Do you hear me? The ones in the back that tend to underestimate some sources like art. Say it louder for the people in the back. Art is a source. Art is not just pretty. Art is a historical source, and we learn a lot from art. I'm just chanting mentally. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the Kunga. The Kunga was a hybrid equid that was used as a draft animal, but not just only in the Fertile Crescent, but also in Syria, in ancient Syria. And the important thing here is that this animal also served as an economic and political status symbol. This animal was a symbol of status. An animal owning a horse like this meant a lot of things for you as a public figure. And they, of course, the ancient texts do not preoccupy themselves with the taxonomical details or natures, but the paleogenetics, amazing, that studies ancient breeding and species and animals, paleogenetics has actually thrown some light on the subject, and it has been discovered that a kunga was the result of mating a female domesticated donkey, a female anshe, with a wild male Syrian ass, which would be the other word. Do you remember? I need to read it again because I've forgotten. The shakan. So it was a result of breeding these two together, and then a kunga was born. Again, 3rd millennium before Common Era. I don't know if you are as impressed as I am, but dude, that is impressive. So, these horses were not actually started, like they didn't appear in the Fertile Crescent as such, but they started to be bred in the kingdom of Ebla. Maps. Always use maps when you study history. They are a super useful tool, and you need to, know when and where in order to understand why. So, in here is where we have the kingdom of Ebla, the kingdom of Mari, and the kingdom of Nagar. And apparently the kunga originated in the kingdom of Ebla, and they gave, in the Ebla text, we have the very first word specified as kunga, which also derives from anshe, the wild donkey, but this one is anshe baran. It reads kunga, and this appears to have appeared redundantly. This appears to have appeared between 2600 before Common Era to 2000 before Common Era, like something in there, and they were extremely expensive. They were bougie, but yeah, they were expensive. They were difficult to raise. They were very, very costly regarding not just money, but time and effort. And because of that, they were purposefully bred, but not in Ebla, but in Nagar, in the neighboring kingdom. I don't know if you see it. Can you see it on the map? Is the one in coffee caramel colored brown. Nagar was the very, very center of the breeding of the kunga, and this made this kingdom gain incredible fortune because of the trading of these horses. In fact, we know that these animals were so highly considered that they were used as gifts between kings. These were presents that courts would send to each other as a sign of respect. So that tells us a lot about the little animals. And there is a lot of Ebla was also a very good customer for the kingdom of Nagar, and these animals were purchased so many times. We have so many records of expenses regarding these animals, and like receipts from the ancient world, because that's where they are. And that was basically, this is a suggestion that some scholars did, but apparently these horses were of such an importance that they were the main economical activity of this land. How extended that should be, that your main thing is to trade and breed horses. Again, mind-blowing. I'm enjoying this so much. They were associated with all powerful and beautiful and shiny things. Money. You had to have a lot of money in order to get a kunga for yourself. Then, social status, as I was saying, because you had a lot of money, you belonged to a very high circle of your society. So that is a good indicator. Also, kingship and power, because sometimes it was not just about the money, it was about the influence and the social, political, and cultural power that you held. So sometimes even we have some seals. Let me just show you. We have these seals dated. These ones are from Nagar, and we can see that some of the horses are there, located in the higher realms, and we see people riding horses. It would catch your attention if you look at the ride that I have closer to me on the upper right corner of the screen. You could think that these horses are a little bit petite, that they're little, and you would be correct, because they were very short. The And why is this? Okay, a little bit of history of horses. Horses on the Fertile Crescent and horses in Central Asia and in the Temujin Azizam. And horses in the Fertile Crescent, they're not particularly tall. They do not reach great heights, and that is because the breeds do not behave like that. In fact, the Mongolian horses, the Tarpan and other species are very short but very, very strong. They have short legs but very sturdy. You know, they're very massive chest, well built. And whereas taller horses normally are natural from northern countries. I'm pretty sure you would have come across some video on the internet of the very beautiful, massive horses from Scandinavian countries. I'm pretty sure you've seen them. They're normally black coated or very dark brown. They have beautiful long manes, and they are gigantic. Like they're very tall. Not these ones, however, and that made them not the fastest, but the strongest. They made them stronger because the gravity center is closer to the ground. And even though you cannot run and speed up for a very long time, you are much more resistant, and you can run for extended periods of time on the same. It's like a cruise. It's like a cruise speed, you know. And the importance of these horses, of course, it resembles in art, because not only we have these seals, we have the standard of Ur, and we can learn about that tongue twist. We can learn by these artifacts what the role of these animals actually were. And if you saw the first one, let's see the standard of Ur again. If you see this image again, you would see that the horses are not being... There's no rider in here, but actually they are pulling from a chariot, because yes, this is what they were mostly used for parading and for charioting. Is that a word? Charioting? And something very interesting and something that adds to the thought of them being super expensive is that, like many hybrid animals and hybrid equids, they were sterile. So it didn't matter back in the day if you had a healthy Kunga foal. You knew that was it. It didn't matter if it was a female or a male. They were sterile. That meant you had to start all over again and made another domesticated female donkey with another Shankar, another wild Syrian ass, and that makes the process exhausting and very, very costly. And some foals are described to be nursed by adult donkeys or onagers and donkey foals, but never by Kunga parents. Why is that? Because they did not exist. Kungas did not reproduce. Again, another drop to the glass, to add to the glass of how important these horses breed, and how important these horses breed. No, how important these horses were English, and that they had to be produced de novo by breeding two species anew, and there was not the opportunity of what in the world of horse breeding and animal breeding is called selective breeding. That means this is horrible, okay? I don't believe in this. I don't condone this activity, but it's something that's widely spread, especially in horses and dogs, in dog breeding, which is that you keep on selecting and selecting and selecting the specimens in order to achieve the purest form of the animal, which is very, very harming for the species and does not allow the animals to reproduce properly, and the genetics do not work. That is not how genetics work. But here you have it. I don't approve of this, but it's something that is done. I'm pretty sure you know a dog breeder or a cat breeder. Perhaps you know a horse breeder. So this is what they do. Horrible and fascinating, exactly, because with these animals, you could not select as well, but still they managed to get Kungas into the world. So the breeders knew exactly what they were doing. Exactly. So what were these used for? And how do they look? Because we have the representation. I wanted to show you how different in art can we perceive a donkey, an onaga, and a horse. Because this one over here, This is from the palace of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh. This actually dates from the 7th century before Common Era, so it's a while later. But wild onagas were incredibly popular and incredibly abundant in the Fertile Crescent and the Iranian Plateau back in the day, not anymore. But here we have the depiction of an onaga. This has been hunted by the dogs, I think. Yeah, of course you did. We all did. And these animal is being captured and trapped by the dogs of the king, and then we have some of the wild donkeys being captured, possibly for draft labor, agriculture related labor or hard work, and sometimes. So I wanted to show you this because they were not just they were just hunted for the meat or the skin, but they were also captured live for completing other purposes. But that is not. Then I don't know where I have it. I had another image of a horse. There we have it. And then we have these horses. This is what we could consider proper and pure horses, as in equus caballus. And they are very much different. The head is different. The skull is built different. And of course, they perceive that. Something I like to emphasize when I show these pieces of art is quoting one of my teachers and a fascinated man, the ancient were ancient, but they were not stupid. They had eyes on their heads. They could see the difference between an ass, a naga, and a horse, same as we do when you have them in front of us. So it's very interesting how they portrayed the animals in art, and how through art we can learn how these were incorporated into society and into social events, and that is something. What is this? I don't like this. I'm gonna move it. There you go. And incorporated into the social life and the culture and what they represent. These are not kunga, and why are these not kunga? We will see at the end when I tell you what came to be of these beasts. So they would have looked like a bit like these horses that you see at my right, but also a little bit like these ones we were seeing before. And we were talking about what these were used to. So normally the smaller males and smaller females, they were used for pulling plows or just as draft animals, while the one and true kunga that you wanted to sell to the neighboring kingdom was the superior quote-unquote males, and they are described performing different roles like a martial, parading, and pulling the wagons and chariots for kings and for the statues of gods. I don't know if you're familiar with this tradition, with this custom, but in Mesopotamia, in certain festivities, there were some statues of the gods that parade through the streets of Babylonia specifically, but not solely. But in the Mesopotamian cities, they would parade the statue of their deities, and pulling those chariots would not be a donkey, would not be a generic pulling horse. No, there was a kunga, like we see in the standard of Ur. And we will come back to this in a minute because I want to show you something. It's very detailed, but my script is a mess because I couldn't fit everything I wanted in here, because if not, I'm gonna be talking for forever. The Fellowship of the Kungas. Oh my god, I haven't thought about that. It is the Fellowship. How many are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 fellow kungas forming the Fellowship of the Kungas. The Kungaship of the Ring. Oh my god, this made me so happy. That's just fantastic, not I wrote. Thank you for highlighting always the best of the very best. Go Gandalf. I love it. Kung Gandalf. Una conga de kungas. I love it. Oh my god, keep it coming. Team Panic. Yeah. I'm gonna, alright, nosotros, I'm gonna send you this image when I'm done. So I expect a lot of fan art posted on Discord after this. Just saying, and we need the song Conga by Gloria Estefan to be playing somewhere. Just saying, for you to have a mental note. So yeah, I'm going to show you the kungas. I'm going to show you the kunga in the Oud standard, and I'm going to zoom it. Actually, I'm going to leave you with this one here, and I'm going to zoom in because I want to show you something about the horses. There you go, that will do. So you see that they are pulling from a wagon, yes, but art also tells us how they were reined. And we can see that they are harnessed. You see that they have a harness on their chest and resting on their backs. But also they have a rein ring and a ring that goes through the upper lip. So, you know, we have the nose ring, like the one normally you've seen in bowls, typically, like in representation of the Minotaur. Like you have seen this one, definitely. But also in here, we have another ring that goes through the upper lip. And I don't know if the lip was actually pierced, but it appears to be so. Like it looks like it. Also, something super cute and exciting, at least for me, is that you can see 4 tails, and they have actually represented, in order to describe how wealthy and powerful the person owning the chariot was, that they have not only 1 but 4 different kungas, male superior kungas that were pulling the chariot. And we can see that because we see 4 tails, and you look up, we can see 4 pairs of ears and 4 profiles of the face and 4, legs going on a stride frontwards. And I think that's wonderful, and that is one of the many reasons I love art history. So these illustrations, apparently, the thing with the ring, I don't know if they were actually pierced or not. It appears to be so, judging by the looks of the artifact. And they appear a lot in administrative text, and, as I was saying, the receipts of the ancient world, and in official art, such as this one. And these animals, apparently of all the statues, it reached the moment that they became a symbol of kingship. And some scholars have suggested that they were also a form of propaganda and of portraying royalty, because they were really, really difficult to breed and very, very difficult to maintain as well. And it's incredible how they managed to pull this off and to maintain it for so many times. And these would have been, I keep saying, like 6 times the price of a donkey. That is super expensive. And yeah, no, they were included in dowries and used as diplomatic gifts. For me, the most important, or like part that calls out, is that they were actually used as diplomatic exchanging gifts. Like, you would give this to a neighboring country you wanted to establish a relationship with. What kind of relationship? I have no idea. Maybe you wanted to declare war, but hey, here's one of my expensive horses. I don't know. And something that I want to tell you is I'm leaving. Bye, Ansho. Thank you for popping by. Oh, you're the best. Kisses for the frogs. Mwah. And when someone was looking to buy a kunga foal, they didn't purchase it on the city. Like, they were so demanded that the city was too little for them being bred. So they went to the countryside, and I just think that is so eccentric, but I love it. And do you remember that I was telling you about archaeology? So we have a burial complex in Uma el Marra, which be like around 55 kilometers from modern day Aleppo. I'm gonna put the map up because I think you can see Aleppo in here. Yeah, I mean, I can't. I don't know if you can, but no, you can see Byblos, Ugarit. Aleppo would be like downwards a little bit towards the south. Let me see if I unzoom it. Maybe there's Aleppo down there. Nope. No, okay, never mind. What was I saying? Yeah, El Marra. So there is this archaeological site in El Marra that it's a burial complex, and they are very expensive and elaborated burial gifts. And that indicates that the people buried there possibly belonged to a family of a lot of influence, power, and money, like very wealthy people in Mesopotamia. Do you see Aleppo? Where? Koja. ¿Dónde? I see Damascus, but not Aleppo. Estoy yo ciega, no soy Ross. I can't see it, but if you can't see it, I trust you. So in this burial complex, there were found corpses with extremely expensive items such as silver vessels, gold jewelry, lapis lazuli, stones, which were like the top of the expensive chart. But also there were 25 equid skeletons. 20 male equids, and they scanned the bodies, and these paleogenetics showed that these horses, from these 25, only half of them, which would make 17 and a half horses, died of natural causes. The other 17 horses were killed to introduce into this burial. So how powerful and wealthy you have to be that you cannot only allow yourself to own 25 Kunga horses, but also to put them in your grave when you die, ordering to kill those 17 Kunga horses and place them into your tomb because you are this wealthy, because you want to show to the afterlife how powerful you were. Are you following? Because I think it's mind-blowing. And they appear to be deliberately killed, the horses, and because of the skeleton and how the skull is built, this is why we believe these were Kungas. I know, yes, I it's like a horrible fascination, isn't it? It's like a guilty surprise. I don't know how to explain it in English. I'm lacking the words. So yeah, apparently these were actually Kunga horses that were buried there, and it is incredible. So what came of them? What happened to the Kunga? And I am gonna put another picture of the Onagas because I just love them. Should we have them? I like this one. I like this one a lot. Well, now the Fellowship of the Kunga is my favorite, but I like this one a lot because there is a fowl, and I love little horses and little donkeys. So the Kunga was extremely used and widely spread through the Fertile Crescent as the primary beast of plunder and burden for several centuries. However, what happened? That if you were listening to me, you learned that these horses were incredibly difficult to maintain and incredibly difficult to breed. So all the species of horses, of Equus cavallus, were starting to be domesticated and introduced into the Fertile Crescent. Not only the Kunga, but also the exchange with other parts of the world, such as the Iranian plateau, introduced different species of horses, of equids, that were much easier domesticated and difficult, and not so difficult, to reproduce, which was the key. And they were just as strong and as valid and as beautiful as the Kunga, but very, very cheap. And in all senses, I mean, in time, in effort, in money, in infrastructure. So because they were sterile creatures, the Kunga passed, and its memory was just preserved by little pieces of art, and then these cuneiform tablets and mosaics, and they vanished, they disappeared. And I don't know if there is any kind of something written about the very last Kunga, but again, because they were sterile. There was no way these species would survive without human touch. Because if you think about it, the kunga were animals artificially produced. They were artificially bred, and they were artificially brought into this world. And I think that is incredible, because they created, the Mesopotamian breeders created a species and maintained it for at least 1,000 years, which again, I think is fascinating. And the rulers of the Fertile Crescent would pride themselves and we have letters and texts of them explaining how many of these they actually could afford to have and afford to purchase and afford to not even, okay, something that increases the price a lot of an animal is the transportation of it. And if you see, let's just put them up again a little bit, because if you see where these animals were bred, that is Nagar, and it's closer to Syria than it is to the Fertile Crescent, and these animals were brought from there to Sumer. That is a very long journey. It then increases the cost of the creature so much, the poor thing. And still, there were abundant kungas in the Fertile Crescent. So that tells us not only about, I'm very, very intense, and I know I'm going over and over and over with the same ideas, but I want you to remember these exactly. They were a symbol. They were the representation of wealth, power, and sometimes even royalty, being linked with actual kingship. You know how we have animals that we connect with the idea of leadership, the idea of being a ruler, such as, for example, the lion, which is also very typical of the Fertile Crescent, and I have a whole video speaking about the Syrian lion hunt. But we have those animals that are wild animals. Man overcome them and conquer them by defeating them and killing them, but also by domesticated them. And in this case, humans were so powerful, so to say, that they created an artificial horse. They were the makers of these species, and then allowed themselves to purchase and trade and exchange this creature that they knew they had created, and they were very much aware that they could not reproduce because it was a hybrid. And it really blows my mind how powerful this idea is. The idea of creating a species anew just because you want to achieve something, call it beauty, call it perfection, call it royalty, and how possibly I'm not saying that this was always the case as such, but possibly the thought process behind it is that they were tailoring these horses to be the gods' equals, because also they put them on the graves and they wanted to bring these horses to the afterlife, and we have depictions of the horses in the higher realms. So they thought they were imitating the powerful deities of the world above, of this sky above, by being the creators of a new race that was perfected by selecting different species. I wish we had something more to look at than just a mosaic or just a relief, because it really, really increases my curiosity, wondering how these creatures, these animals would have looked like, especially given that they were the mixture between a wild ass and a donkey. So they definitely did not look much like the horses we may know about today. Like, I'm talking about the muscle, the forehead, the neck. There's a lot of different taxonomy of horses that could not be present on the kunga. So I wish we had a time machine so we can see just one. But definitely, if I can venture something and, try to, this is my own hypothesis about the subject, okay? So, but I think that kunga horses, if anything, they did not look like, their appearance was not like this. Rather, they were much more like this. They would look closer to onagas and asses and donkeys than they would be to horses. So now that makes me wonder if the introduction of the domesticated horse also carried with this idea of beauty, of standard, of beauty in an animal. I don't know, because they would look different. That is something I keep thinking over and over, because definitely they didn't look alike. There were noticeable features on both species that would make them different. So I wonder if one of the many reasons that Kunga were not so popular anymore was because the horse, as in, again, quote unquote, the pure horse, the Equus Cavallus, was actually considered more beautiful and better looking and better suited for the tasks that the Kunga had performed regarding, parading, exhibition, and processions of the gods and military activities. I don't know. That is just that's just my personal take on them, because that is something that brings me that's something that brings me a lot of curiosity. So I think, Bacha, this is as much as we are going to talk about today about the beautiful horses. I hope you've discovered something you did not know before. I don't know, were you familiar with the Kunga? Because I was definitely not when I discovered them, and I was so excited that I thought, all right, I need to show them. I need to share with my Bacha something I'm very passionate about, with that animals, more precisely horses, and more precisely the Kunga, because again, artificial for the Kungas, always for the Kungas. Cheers to you. Boom. I apologize, that was aggressive, so cheers. By the way, my tea is like super cold. Like extremely cold, which is funny because it's not cold today whatsoever. So technically, this should be still warm, like the weather around me. But summer is indeed coming. I'm not a Hopi bunny. I am a winter person. I am missing the rain. I'm invoking the elder deities. Like, for example, Enkidu. Not Enkidu. Not Enkidu. I wanted to say Enki or Enlil. Do something. Bring some rain. Bring some wind. Oh no, please. Not just for me, just for my little town. Thanks. That was really interesting. I hadn't heard of the Kunga, but I'm happy I have now. Yay! I'm really happy you discovered something, because that's the reason I opened my Twitch channel, for you to discover things, and then you can just pull the strings and follow the red trail, and who knows which equid adventures it will take you to. I agree with you, the worst months are ahead. So let's move to, I don't know, the North Pole together. No sé, Ros. How does that sound? I am definitely looking forward to moving to the North Pole. I know. But anyway, Bacha, thank you so much for joining the stream. I've missed you so much. I miss doing this so much. And hopefully I will be back next week with a stream in Spanish, and we will be reading the Book of Kings. We need something to cheer us up. Although we're not going to be happy. You are not going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy with what's coming. But you know what? I can't protect you. I can't protect you from the Book of Kings. I can't protect you from Fertile. So I apologize in advance. But thank you so much for coming. It's been my greatest pleasure having you here with me. As always, and as I mentioned before, thank you so much to my patrons for being so understanding and being like so understanding of my situation and understanding that I am human. But these might sound obvious, but there's a lot of people that don't understand, and I might have something to do, some other things to do apart from this, but my chat do. They understand, and they are the best. You're simply the best. Dun, 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 better than all the rest. I have to sing in every single live stream. Not sorry. I'm sorry. What about how about Rasha? Yeah, but Rasha, well, unfortunately, Rasha is not a real horse. I wish. And these was only about the horses on the third millennium before Common Era in the Fertile Crescent. So I think that Rash does not check any boxes. He does not tick any boxes in here. He is not a Kunga. Definitely he was a pure pure Arabian breed. And we would talk extensively about Rash. So you have all the readings of the Shahnameh are up online, and you can listen to them. And we've talked about Rash extensively because, like Nosotros says, the real hero is Rash. I don't care what you say about Rostam. I don't like him, but I love Rash. So thank you so much, Bacha, for coming to the stream. if you want to join the next time, we are going to be reading the Book of Kings. We're going to be doing it in Spanish, and then we're going to be doing that in English. And yeah, have yourselves a lovely, lovely week, rest of the week. Take care. And as always, remember to create, to explore, and to have tons of fun. Until I see you next time, I bid you Khodafis. We're going to be here for the start of this song again because, God, I've missed Fly Me to the Moon. Thank you so much, Cerros. All right, here we go. If you know the song, sing it out.